Welcome back to Marvelous Videos. I'm Rylan. Lucas Bishop, the time-hopping mutant with a rugged charm, is shrouded in mystery. This enigmatic anti-hero made his first appearance in 1991 on the original's Uncanny X-Men issue number 282. Sporting a signature red bandana to bring out his soul-piercing eyes, Bishop stands out for his gritty, dark backstory and an extremely high moral compass. With a serious demeanor and a no-nonsense attitude, he exudes an air of determination and intensity. Armed with his power to absorb and redirect energy, Bishop unleashes explosive force while carrying the weight of his apocalyptic future. But beneath all of his tough exterior, Bishop has a soft spot for his fellow mutants and is relentlessly driven to change the course of history. Get ready for a wild ride as we dive deep into the physiological intricacies of this cryptic time-traveling enforcer. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Actually, before we get into our explanation, we do have one very small request. If you like our content, then please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is just one small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thanks. Now, let's begin.
ID Tracker Bishop.
Who is Bishop? The 21st century of Earth 1191 was a grim alternate future timeline dreaded by the mutant-murdering Sentinels. Lucas Bishop's parents somehow managed to escape to America just before a devastating nuclear strike wiped out all of Australia. However, their freedom was short-lived as they were detained and confined within a mutant relocation camp in Brooklyn, New York, where Bishop and his sister Shard were born. Their faces were branded with the nanotech M tattoo to mark their mutant identity. This horrifying act served as a degrading reminder of their second-class status and the disregard for mutant lives in the Sentinel world. Their oppression mirrored the horrors inflicted upon the Jewish people under the Nazi rule during World War II. Growing up in that oppressive environment led Bishop to develop an unyielding hatred for the mutant child responsible for the decimation of the mutant population and the rise of the Sentinels. The loss of the X-Men, including their founder, Professor Charles Xavier, further deepened his sense of injustice and his determination to resist the tyranny. Bishop wore the branded M with pride. He considered it to be his badge of honor and a symbol of defiance against a world determined to suppress mutant kind. Lucas Bishop grew up to be 6 feet 6 inches tall, weighing a whopping 125 kilograms, possessing a defined jawline and intense but determined eyes. Lucas always had a broody, stern expression, reflecting his serious and focused nature, and sported a futuristic-looking XSE uniform or variations of the X-Men uniform, featuring a combination of blue and yellow color, along with a red color or bandana tied around his neck. Not to forget, he always had his advanced weaponry and his signature energy rifle with him to help him in uncertain circumstances.
Don't make me hurt you.
What is the holographic matrix projector on his wrist? Eventually, while being raised in the American concentration camp by his Australian mutant parents, Bishop witnessed his mother gradually giving into bitterness and despair before her untimely death, causing him to become a resentful child. However, a glimmer of hope emerged when the humans joined forces with the mutants against the Sentinels to overthrow them in the Summers Rebellion. Despite this victory, humankind continued to resist the idea of coexistence, and radical mutant groups like the Exhumes kept fighting against the humans. Tragedy struck Bishop when his parents lost their lives during the Summers Rebellion, leaving him stranded from his sister and his grandmother. He found his way to Manhattan, where Bishop encountered a man named Witness LeBeau, who taught him the skills of a thief. Eventually, Bishop found his sister and his grandmother in the city of Las Vegas and was reunited with them. Their grandmother, who was a staunch believer in Xavier's dream of harmony and peace between the mutants and the rest of humanity, passed away, leaving Bishop to take responsibility for Shard. During Bishop and Shard's childhood, they found themselves caught in a perilous situation involving the XSE, aka Xavier's security enforcers, and the Exhumes, a radical anti-human mutant group. Virgo, a member of the Exhumes, had taken Shard hostage, and Bishop, driven by his love for his sister, jumped upon Virgo's back, forcing her to release Shard. Just as Virgo was going to exact her revenge on Bishop, Sure Shot intervened and killed Virgo. This encounter shattered Bishop's perception of the XSE as enemies and the Exhumes as the true heroes, and from that moment forward, Bishop aspired to join the XSE and fight for justice. Tragedy continued to shape Bishop's journey when, in another harrowing incident, Shard, Bishop, and Hancock, their grandmother's friend, were attacked by mutant criminals named Half-Track and Billboy. Tragically, Hancock lost his life, and Shard's life hung in the balance. Bishop, driven by desperation and protective instincts, unleashed his latent mutant powers while trying to save Shard. However, it was the timely intervention of XSE members Recoil and Amazon that prevented Shard's murder at the hands of Billboy and Half-Track. Witnessing Bishop's courage and his burgeoning abilities, Amazon and Recoil were impressed and extended an offer for him to join the XSE. Accepting the offer, Bishop made sure that Shard was also accepted into the XSE crew. With Bishop's superhuman powers now fully manifested, both Bishop and Shard embarked on a new chapter of their lives as apprentices at the Academy of the XSE. Under the guidance of Hecate, the Academy provided them with rigorous training and honed their skills in preparation for their roles as protectors of both mutant kind and humanity alike. Eventually, they achieved the rank of officers within the XSE. However, Shard's position as her brother's commanding officer created a unique dynamic between the two siblings. Bishop, content with a lower rank, chose to work on the streets with his friends Malcolm and Randall, who were also fellow XSE officers. Unfortunately, Shard, now leading her own crew in the XSE, fell into a carefully orchestrated ambush devised by her criminal of an ex-boyfriend, Trevor Fitzroy. With the help of the M-Plates, a group of energy-draining creatures, Shard was transformed into one of these monsters, compelled to kill other mutants in order to sustain herself. In a heart-wrenching confrontation, Bishop was obligated to make the unimaginable decision and end his sister's life rather than allowing her to exist as a monstrous entity. To preserve Shard's essence, Bishop had it relocated into a holographic matrix projector that he wore on his wrist. However, in order to acquire this technology, Bishop was required to leave the XSE and work under witness for an entire year, which took him down a path full of uncertainty and intrigue. As Bishop's story unfolded, his journey was marked by tragedy, betrayal, and a relentless pursuit of justice. His traumatic past shaped him into an extremely powerful mutant, dedicated towards upholding Xavier's dream and protecting both mutants and humanity, even in the face of adversity. Can Bishop absorb any type of energy? In a wild world of mutants, Lucas Bishop is a walking energy buffet, absorbing energy like a kind of vacuum cleaner. Whether it's absorbing magic, sound, light, or even psychic energy, he can slurp up all of it like a mutant sponge. But here's where things get really exciting. Bishop doesn't just collect energy like a cosmic collector, he can also unleash it with explosive force. Once he has absorbed all that energy, he can channel it through his body to create concussive blasts, energy rays, and even fiery explosions. It's like watching a mutant fireworks display, with Bishop as the show's headliner. But wait, there's even more. Bishop's energy absorption also gives him some incredible perks. As he stores up his energy, his own physical abilities get a serious power boost. He becomes stronger, faster, and more resilient than your average mutant, with a stamina that seems to go on forever. Plus, his regenerative abilities kick into high gear, allowing him to heal at an accelerated rate. It's like having a mutant supercharger that keeps him going strong. But let's not forget about Bishop's uncanny durability as well. With his energy absorption powers, he becomes incredibly resilient to energy-based attacks, making it tough for his foes to land a solid hit. This dude is like a mutant fortress, shrugging off blows that would knock out lesser heroes. Can he convert this absorbed energy? Whether it is converting ambient energy into psychic power, harnessing kinetic energy for spectacular feats, or unleashing devastating concussive blasts, he is like an energy alchemist, turning one form of power into another with incredible finesse and precision. Bishop's power to absorb energy does not stop at simply taking it in. He has got a remarkable talent for energy conversion, which only adds another layer of versatility to his abilities. Once he has absorbed energy, he can manipulate it and convert it into different forms. For example, Bishop can take in an ambient energy from his surroundings and transform it into psychic energy. With this newfound psychic power, he can unleash telekinetic force, manipulating objects with his mind, or even hurling them around like a mutant-powered catapult. And that's not all. Bishop's energy conversion skills extend to kinetic energy as well. Imagine him falling from a towering building. Instead of splatting onto the ground, he taps into the kinetic energy of his descent and miraculously converts it into sound and light-based energy. It's almost as if he is actually creating his own pyrotechnic display to cushion his fall. And let's not forget about his magnum opus, the concussive blasts. Bishop can rechannel the absorbed energy through his body, turning it into powerful biokinetic blasts. These explosive attacks can pack quite a punch, and are even capable of damaging beings who are normally immune to their own powers. Does Bishop's weapons connect to his powers? Bishop's arsenal of XE guns are not just a random choice, but a strategic complement to his own extraordinary powers. These specialized weapons are specifically designed for the Xavier security enforcers to fire energy and plasma blasts, packing a punch that goes beyond the capabilities of conventional firearms. As Bishop engages in combat, he can simply tap into the energy around him, whether it's ambient energy in the environment or directed energy attacks from adversaries. Now, apart from using it to bolster his own skills and abilities, abilities, Bishop can also transfer that absorbed energy into his XSC gun, effectively infusing it with an amplified level of power. This energy he absorbs acts as a catalyst, enhancing the destructive output of the XSC gun's energy and plasma blasts. In essence, he can absorb energy during intense combat scenarios, continuously replenishing and redirecting it to his weapon. Bishop's weapons becomes an extension of his amplified powers, a rather perfect symbiosis that maximizes his combat effectiveness and allows him to sustain his fighting prowess for a prolonged period of time. Does he have a healing factor? Bishop has got some serious healing mojo going on. This mutant has a turbocharged healing factor that puts regular humans and lesser mutants to shame. When he takes a hit, Bishop bounces back quicker than a rubber ball on a trampoline. Owing to his supercharged regenerative abilities, Bishop can mend his wounds at a speed that will make Wolverine jealous. Whether he is facing a brutal beatdown or just a nasty scrape, this guy can patch himself up in no time. Notably, his ability to heal can reach an insane superhuman limit based on the amount of energy that he absorbs. There is no clear limit to how much Bishop's healing abilities can ramp up, but with each surge of energy he absorbs, his regenerative abilities skyrocket to mind-blowing heights. It's like he's got an infinite well of rejuvenation just waiting to be tapped into. But if all that wasn't enough, Bishop's regenerative abilities also come with an added bonus perk. It massively amps up his durability, making him tougher than a $2 steak, allowing him to shrug off injuries that would leave others flat on their backs. Does Lucas Bishop's body resist any amount of energy? Bishop's body is a fortress of resilience against overwhelming energy assaults. In the midst of the Civil War X-Men chaos, he fearlessly stood his ground, absorbing a colossal blast unleashed by the controlled mind of Cyclops himself, pushing his limits and attempting to contain the immense energy surge coursing through his veins. But unfortunately, even his incredible endurance had its bounds. Bishop was compelled to release the stored energy straight into the air. If not for his quick thinking, this would have resulted in a monumental explosion that would have decimated the entire vicinity. Even when facing one of history's most powerful beings, the cataclysmic threat of Onslaught, Bishop absorbed psionic energy with unyielding determination, which was actually directed at the entire X-Men team. His body became a conduit for the overwhelming power, defying the imminent doom that loomed over his comrades. Even when Bishop faced off against the mighty Mr. M, he absorbed a devastating blast from the villain in a dazzling display of his energy manipulation prowess, and with just a flick of his own strength, returned it with double the impact. It was a showdown of titanic proportions, showcasing Bishop's incredible resilience to the most staggering displays of force. What happens when Lucas Bishop overloads himself by trying to absorb too much energy? When Bishop pushes himself to the limit and attempts to absorb an excessive amount of energy, the consequences can be quite explosive. It is almost like playing with fire, not knowing how much heat you can handle. Bishop's power becomes a precarious balancing act as he teeters on the edge of control and chaos. As he absorbs more and more energy, his body becomes overwhelmingly incapable of containing the immense power coursing through him. In such a critical moment, the excess energy, like a raging storm, bursts forth from Bishop's body in a spectacular explosion that engulfs the surroundings in a desperate release of pent-up energy that Bishop can no longer manage. This unleashed force surges outward, creating a devastating shockwave that poses a significant threat to the environment and anyone caught in its path. It's truly a breathtaking spectacle, but one fraught with danger. Can he reproduce? Like other mutants, Lucas Bishop had the active mutation gene, as clearly understood by his ingrained M tattoo. This meant that he was indeed capable of reproducing. In fact, in the first issue of the comic miniseries X-Men The End, a mutant named Aaliyah Bishop was introduced. It was revealed that she was the true heir of the throne of Shi'ar, and longed to meet her father all her life. Deathbird, the eldest sister of the Queen Lilandra of the Shi'ar Empire, was a renegade, until she was ambushed by the warmth of love after meeting Lucas Bishop. Aaliyah was the result of this epic love, but unfortunately Bishop had to leave his family behind and go back to rescue his homeworld with Xavier. Aaliyah grew up hearing all the crazy yet glorious adventures of her father from her mother and Deathbird, who always spoke of seeing him again and spending the rest of their lives together, but unfortunately Bishop never returned. How powerful is Bishop? So far, we have established that this guy is basically a power vacuum, absorbing and releasing energy from literally anything and everything. His physical stats ramp up to an unimaginable level, making him almost invulnerable post-energy absorption. Unless it is an overwhelming amount of energy, he can simply store it in his body to use it in other battles or confrontations. Until his rendezvous with Onslaught, this alpha-level mutant could retain any amount of power within him, but the energy from Onslaught was too much for him to handle, resulting in one of the most frightening concussive energy blasts we have ever witnessed before. Even Bishop's energy absorption abilities have limits, although the exact extent of these limits remains unknown even to him. Overloading himself by absorbing too much energy can push him to his limits, as demonstrated in his attempt attempt to help Rogue, who is suffering from a power overload. Additionally, while he can achieve a level of invulnerability, certain aspects of his power activation require his conscious participation. For example, Bishop was able to transform kinetic energy into light and sound to break his fall, but only because he was aware and in control of the process. He can even manipulate it into psychic energy if he wants. Bishop can absorb and process different types of energy, including radiant energy, conductive energy, magic energy, and psychic energies. However, while this ability does make him highly resistant to energy-based attacks, he can still be affected by mental manipulation from telepaths, although it may slow them down and potentially exhaust them. Like almost every other powerful mutant, Bishop is also equipped with your usual superhuman strength, highly driven stamina, and a massively enhanced speed as compared to regular mortals. Upon absorbing energy, all his senses and reflexes increase, while his need to do regular stuff like eating, drinking, sleeping, or even breathing diminishes to an alarming level, giving him superhuman endurance. He is even resistant towards most forms of poison. Another facet of Bishop's power goes beyond his mutant abilities. He has a unique instinctual sense of his surroundings and an uncanny ability to always know precisely where he is at all times, likely developed through his repeated absorption of chronal energies, providing him with a heightened situational awareness. In addition to his mutant abilities, Bishop is also a highly trained police officer with expertise in homicide investigations. He possesses extensive combat training, both armed and unarmed, and is an exceptional marksman. In his early days, he carried XCE guns that fired laser beams and plasma charges, and wore a protective XSCE uniform resembling the X-Men's attire. Lucas Bishop also had a prosthetic right arm, powered by nuclear energy that provided enhanced strength and resilience, along with a time-traveling device and the ability to channel his energy blasts. However, his prosthetic arm was eventually destroyed. Overall, he is really the wrong guy to mess with. Does he have a weakness? Lucas Bishop's character as an alpha mutant is the biggest example of how no one really has it all. Bishop's energy absorption abilities grant him immense power, but they also come with certain weaknesses and limitations that he must contend with. While the upper limits of his absorption capacity are unknown, he risks reaching a point where he can no longer control his excessive energy. This can result in an explosion, causing harm to himself and those around him until his body reaches a manageable energy level. While Bishop's powers make it difficult to harm him with energy-based attacks, he is practically vulnerable to non-energy weapon attacks. Projectile weapons or physical strikes, such as being hit with a crowbar, can still cause him harm. Additionally, Bishop's energy absorption is passive, meaning he cannot actively control the rate or amount of energy that he absorbs. He relies on external sources of energy and is not as proficient at absorbing ambient energy compared to direct energy sources like optic blasts or lightning. This limitation requires him to have access to readily available energy to fuel his abilities effectively. Although Bishop can absorb psionic energy from telepathic attacks, he is not completely immune to these assaults. Although his powers can help reduce the speed and power of the telepathic attacks, he does remain partially vulnerable to them. Initially, Bishop was unable to absorb energy from inertial attacks like hitting walls. However, he has recently shown progress in learning to absorb this type of energy, making him nearly invulnerable. The extent to which he can increase this capacity with practice is unknown. Understanding these weaknesses allow Bishop to be more strategic in his battles and take precautions to mitigate potential risks. Despite these limitations, his energy absorption powers still make him an immaculate force to be reckoned with. Even in the face of the darkest adversary, Lucas Bishop stood like an iron pillar to protect his mutant community. His tactical skills, merged with energy absorbing and releasing abilities, really make him an overall power icon. Although this character might have his quirks, his role in the X-Men squad is absolutely dynamic. And with this, we finally come to the end of this video. Don't forget to tell us in the comments below about your favorite anatomical quirk of this energy-chugging mutant. And don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, I'm Rylan. Have a good one and be safe.